our project is using Raspberry Pi as a Faucet controller with test tools. Okay, our team that worked on this was Siddharth Savan, Swati Venkatadri, Vijay Lakshmi TG, and myself Vijay Raghavan. Okay, so one of the major problems is when you get a switch, okay, you need some time to deploy the switch, okay, and you need to test it before you deploy it. Okay, so this has been one of the major problems. Okay, and what we have come up with is we are using Raspberry Pi as a quick solution to test your switch basically. Okay, so we have a script that basically is simple, that helps you deploy the switch and test the switch at a minimum time possible. Okay, so so we can just right. So we have a script that's deployed on GitHub on the ONF SDN, right? So it's as simple as you just say your install Faucet, okay, and we start cloning into the repositories wherever required, installing dependencies and setting up the tools. Okay, so this installs tools like Ryu, Faucet, T-Shark, etc. Okay, so it makes life easier for IT professionals to actually test a switch once they get it. Okay, so this will take maybe 10 minutes depending on the internet connection, and once it's done, you just have to enter the DPID, what switch, which hardware you're using, and the name of the switch. Okay, so this will actually install your dependencies and all of it, and here we have an enter DPID. Okay, so all you have to do is enter the DPID. Okay, and then you have to enter the name of your switch, and then what hardware you're using. Okay, so your setup is done. Okay, so you can actually go into your okay, so your file is automatically generated for you, so you don't have to do anything. We already have a script that will actually generate your YAML file. Okay, and then you can start running your script. Okay, so we are up and ready. Okay, so this is as simple as this to actually deploy and test a switch. Okay, and here we also have a JavaScript that helps you generate YAML file without errors. Okay, so it's again very simple. You just have to punch in few details like what MAC address or your DPID. Okay, so 0x. Okay, switch name, let's say Zodiac FX1. Okay, then you have a drop down for the hardware so that you don't make any errors. Okay, and you tell number of ports that you want to configure. Let's say we want 3 ports. Okay, so you get port 1, port 2, port 3, and now we can start adding details. Okay, so let's say I want VLAN numbers. Okay, and I click on generate. It generates a YAML file for me, which I can directly copy paste into my controller. Okay, so why we used the Raspberry Pi is because it's basically an SBC. Okay, and it's very cheap, so it costs around $35, and it has 2 NICs. It has an Wi-Fi and also an ETH interface. Okay, so this makes it easier for people to actually use one as your management port, and then you can actually use an USB Ethernet to actually connect it to an OpenFlow switch, so your Raspberry Pi can act as a controller and also as a host. So we are providing a solution where you can actually use your Raspberry Pi, and then with very less number of commands you can configure it and then get it working in no time. So that's our project. Thank you.
So one of the things that you also had a challenge was that you configured around 50 or 25 Raspberry Pis.
Correct.
Okay, and you had all these switches that you had to provide this as infrastructure for this entire Hackfest.
Right.
So were there any challenges in trying to make all of these things happen?
Right. So we had a challenge basically because we are around 50 Pis to configure. So 25 of them as controllers and 25 of them as hosts. Okay. So what we did is we had a Python script that basically logs into each of your Pi and then runs an automated script. Okay. So we use libraries like Paramiko, which helps us SSH into a device. So we just connected 50 Pis, and then we're able to run a automated script which will actually go clone into one of our repositories, pull down the script and then automatically start installing all the dependencies and stuff. Okay, so the way we are actually providing your DPID, because we need to make sure that this controller is having this Zodiac X connected, is we are actually pushing this along with the SSH, so which made it easier for us to configure 25 pies in no time. So it took almost around 3-4 hours to basically configure the pies, and this is all automatic.
Excellent. So the entire Hackfest, all the teams out here have been using the Zodiacs on their desktop as the development environment for the switches and the Raspberry Pis as controllers. Production, they are using the Allied Telesis and all the production machines. But from a development point of view and a testing point of view, to get all of these things going in a very short period of time without having to configure everything, I think is very critical.
Right.
Great job, guys. What are the other challenges that you faced when you tried to do this?
The other challenges was, getting the YAML file to work, because a single space error in the YAML file is going to screw up things.
Correct.
So we spent about half an hour so just getting the YAML file correct. Then we thought it would be a great help if we could automatically generate the YAML file. So it helps save a lot of problems, and then it's all automated. So that is one of the huge issues we faced.
Correct. So the YAML file is basically the switch configuration file that needs to be incorporated with the controller, so that the controller understands what kind of a switch it is talking to. Up until now, the infrastructure on the switches are kind of rudimentary, which does not really provide back to the controller what the switch configuration is and everything in a proper format. But by doing YAML and that kind of stuff, it basically helps that infrastructure. Good. Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.